Lately I've been looking for a chilled frog game to help me relax. I couldn't find one, so I began building my own, originally just for my own enjoyment, but as I played around with it, I realised that others might enjoy it too, so I've decided to turn it into a full game called Serene Ponds. Serene Ponds lets you create your own ponds dioramas with terrain sculpting, painting, and decorating. Over time, as you build your pond, wildlife will appear and grow. The game is a minimalistic game with a low poly art style, as I really like that sort of graphic style. I feel like it really leans itself nicely to a chilled atmosphere. I began the project by modelling a basic frog. This frog is a classic frog and is intended to be the most common. Frogs will be attracted to your pond depending on the way that you design it, and will even pair up and have babies. Frogs will spawn with different colours, and over time I plan on adding more frog species. This is the final frog model, and I think he looks pretty good, but he's a bit static, so I added some basic breathing and blinking animations. I'll also add some hopping animations soon so that he can move around. With the frog model completed, he needed a home, so I began the process of setting up the terrain tools. As the game is low poly, terrain is split into individual cubes which can be moved up and down with the sculpt tool or painted with the paint tool. I set up the terrain sculpting tool and found a rather interesting issue. I fixed this for now by giving our frogs a higher mass, but in the future I'll implement something more elegant. Next I added terrain painting, which went a lot more smoothly than the sculpting. The terrain can now be edited, but the landscape is still empty. Our frog friend needs some decorations for his home, so next I developed models for props that can be used to decorate the pond. So far I've created mushrooms, lily pads, rocks, logs, stumps, and cat's tails. This gives me a good base to work from, and I'll add more props through development. With the props modelled, I then developed the prop placement tool. This tool lets you select a prop, scale it up and down, rotate it, and finally place it. I originally intended stones to stay relatively small. However, whilst playing around with the tools, I realised you can actually use scaled up stones to make really interesting terrain. So I'm going to lean into this and make it a bit more easier to do in game. So with the tools in place, it was now time for me to create a scene. I wanted to create a classic pond scene with lots of rocks and lily pads. I also decided that our frog needed a friend, so I've added a second frog too. So that's the beginning of Serene Ponds. It's a nice little chilled experience that I'm having a lot of fun building, and I'm also adding gameplay features as they emerge naturally throughout the development process. So let me know if you have any ideas about what could be added to the game.